What's up guys, today I will uncover one of the most powerful comics, Absolute Batman. The intro is this massive showdown. So without further ado, let's get into it. So today we're diving into a massive emotional turning point as a rugged bearded Alfred Pennyworth sits down for a tea with his daughter Julia at Gotham DL. Alfred handles the check and breaks the shocking news that he's taken an indefinite leave of absence from his leadership duties in London to stay right here in Gotham. Julia is completely stunned, pushing down her sunglasses to ask what could possibly hold him back, prompting Alfred to confess that he's found a young operative phantom fighting Bruce Wayne, who desperately needs his guidance like the son he never had. Alfred forcefully defends his absence parenting as a sacrifice to fight real enemies and keep her safe. But just as bitter Julia prepares to drop her own harsh truth, Alfred's eyes suddenly dart to the side behind his sunglasses, completely cutting her off with a chilling warning. Ready? Because here they come. Smash cut to the secret headquarters where Robins are keeping it casual. Dick Grayson steps fresh out of the shower wearing nothing but a towel, completely eager to break their meal plan for some Robin pie, pizza and garlic knots. Stephanie Brown immediately roasts him, telling him to put some gross clothes on and stop trying so hard to move up in the public polls, while Duke Thomas chimes in from a Bing Bang chair telling him to respect the voters. A totally bewildered Dick looks like the citizens of Gotham are actually voting on Gotham's favorite Robin. Tim Drake mockingly points out that Dick is dead last, while Steph gloats about her own dark and mysterious fan favorite ranking, leaving Dick staring down at a printed copy of the poll with a rain cloud over his head. But fun quickly evaporized as Tim reads aloud a cheesy public description calling him the smart, sweet and stylish heartthrob of the team. While Tim chuckles that he's just too lovable, a brooding Jason Todd steps into the frame, completely unamused, declaring that this public distraction means nothing if they aren't catching Batman. Despite Dick reminding him that they've patrolled all day and their mech suits are completely drained, an angry Jason hooks on his tactical armor and demands to know who is coming with him to hunt the Bat down solo. Tim refuses to let Jason break Tim's rank, but unexpected backup arrives when Slade's influence echoes through the room, prompting another member to side with Jason's aggressive approach. Dick tries to step in to de-escalate the tension, but Tim firmly tells him to back off and let Jason walks out into the night alone. We cut back to the patio where Julia delivers a devastating psychological blow to her father, telling him that fighting for powerful people means only chasing phantom enemies. Meanwhile, the scene transitions to a gritty underworld workshop where a rogue agent with a dead blue hair and checkerboard tie is actively assembling a massive high-tech mullet, confirming to an operator that the Red Hood is officially done with Batman as they move on to a new phase. Back at the table, Alfred demands to hear Julia's second truth, and she doesn't hold back, staring him dead in the eyes to tell him that when you swing at phantoms, you always end up hitting the people closest to you. She drops money on the table to pay for her own tea and leaves stunned Alfred sitting completely alone, wishing him a good trip back to London and coldly hoping he finally finds whatever it is he's looking for. Now we are deep inside Bruce Wayne's subterranean bunker, and things look incredibly unhinged as a hulking Batman stands before a massive conspiracy wall tangled in red string, tracking flight path and Arkham Asylum records. His hyper-fixation is shattered when a voice calls out and tight close-up reveals Bruce's exhausted, furious face as his eyes narrow to tell the intruders he specifically ordered them to stay away. The camera pulls back to reveal his entire core circle, including Killer Croc in a trench coat, a suited Harvey Dent, and green-haired Joker walking down the concert tunnel. They firmly tell Bruce that whether he likes it or not, they are family, and they refuse to let him isolate himself because he clearly doesn't understand the true gravity of the trap he's walking into. The intervention gets intense as the team tries to force Bruce to let them help him debunk his wild theories about the Scarecrow. But Bruce completely snaps, pointing aggressively at his maps and throwing a barrage of corporate data at Edward Nygma, revealing that main research sponsors are tied to shell companies belonging to a clown named Charles Whittage. He turns his rage on a scared Harvey Dent, exposed by bright spotlight, revealing that the law school scholarships Harvey received was named after a Morse, which Bruce financially decodes as a direct anagram for Mercel Merceau, yet another famous historical clown moniker. The team watches in absolute horror as Bruce screams that these aren't coincidences, completely convinced that a singular mastermind has been pulling the corporate strength of Gotham for decades. Bruce digs even deeper into his madness, shouting at them to open their eyes as he slams down a light of the Gotham Zoo. He draws a frantic mental line from the old Wayne Manor to the exact spot where Thomas and Martha Wayne were attacked, proving it directly intersecting with the zoo's crocodile pit. He singles out Wayland, pointing out that in the security footage his body was instinctively turned toward the penguin enclosure, and accuses Edward of standing nearest to the monkeys because they are the smartest animal. He even brings up the Penton Zoo for Harvey, connecting it to the sacrificial rams of Genius, the god of duality. He claims the ultimate key is a specific breed of bats imported from the jungles of Bolivia, proving his father is still alive and hidden somewhere in the data, leaving his friends looking on the heartbreak as Harvey mutters the tragic truth. Guys, he's too far gone. The argument reaches the boiling point as the team begs Bruce to realize that puzzle creates a whole picture while his obsession is only creating fractured pieces. Bruce completely rejects their pleas, screaming that they are all compromised and that he can't trust a single soul until he uncovers how deep this clown conspiracy runs. When the team tells him they are only standing there because they love him, Alfred and a shocking older woman step out of the dark doorway. Bruce gasps out, "Mom?" immediately accusing Alfred of bringing her along as a spy. But Martha Wayne steps forward to tearfully hold her son's face, delivering the ultimate reality check. His life is his own. His father is truly dead, and she was indeed part of the Court of Owls. She begs him to snap out of the madness, promising to tell him everything he wants to know, leaving Bruce frozen in absolute shock. We pick up right in the middle of the explosive fallout as Martha Wayne begs her son to talk to her, but Bruce is completely gone, towering over her in his massive tactical armor and demanding she tell him everything she knows about the Court of Owls. Martha refuses to humor his delusions, and Bruce completely snaps, screaming, "Tell me!" as he brutally punches right through the concert wall directly next to her head. The entire bunker shakes with a massive sound, and dust falls out and Martha screams in terror. Killer Croc and the rest of the crew rush forward to physically restrain him, telling him that's his own mother. But Alfred pulls his gun, cooking it with a sharp sound as Bruce bares his teeth like a feral monster. Boom! Suddenly the screen violently shifts to a blinding orange backdrop as Bruce's massive body is hit with a devastating electrical shockwave that sends him flying backward. While Croc yells not to hurt him, Alfred stands firm with his weapon raised, warning the falling Dark Knight to stay down. A stunned, twitching Bruce can barely mutter a sentence as he collapses to the floor. The camera pulls back to a haunting wide shot of the dark bunker, showing his friends standing over his defeated body beneath the dim, hanging green light. Alfred coldly orders the group to let him go, leaving the unhinged conspiracy wall and the complex map of Gotham Zoo completely abandoned as a dark shadow slithered across the floor. So a flashback panel, we are jumping back to a younger broken Bruce Wayne sitting on the edge of a bed, staring at a burner photo. On the line is the ruthless crime lord Carmine Falcon, who praises Bruce for screwing over everyone in his life and tells him he is officially graduating to the big leagues. Falcon orders Bruce to take a heavy wooden bat and show no mercy to a target named Matches Mellon. Bruce zips up his hoodie, completely prepared to be blunt instrument for the mob, but as he grabs his coat to leave, his hand brushes against a mirror where a sticky note from his mother is taped. "Be more than this, Bruce. Love, Mom." He tears the note off, crumbling it into his fist, and steps out into the rain. Back in the present, Jason Todd is flying through the city inside his heavily armored mechanized Robin 2 suit. He radios in, mocking the idea that Batman would ever walk around in plain sight, when his radar suddenly pings a massive anomaly in a dark alley. With a loud swoosh, a giant figure dragging a massive battle axe steps out from the brick walls. Jason screeches to a violent halt, pointing his heavy cannons and screaming for the pointy-eared freak to freeze because he's got him dead to the rights. To Jason's absolute shock, Batman holds up a hand, calmly stating he isn't there to fight, thinking it's a trick. A hyper-confident Jason smiles inside his helmet and fires a high-velocity bola launcher with a loud sound. It's a direct hit. The electric bola cable tightly wraps around Batman's massive frame, locking his arms to his sides as he grunts in pain. Jason leaps off his vehicle, completely ecstatic, cheering that he actually captured the legendary Dark Knight single-handed. He boasts into his comms, bragging that he is Jason Todd, the self-proclaimed Bad Apple who just saved Gotham. Suddenly, a motorcycle engine roars into the alley as Tim Drake arrives on the scene. Tim steps off his bike in disbelief, praising Jason for actually pulling it off. A smug Jason takes off his helmet, completely soaking in the glory, laughing that they are a team and telling Tim to get up here so they can celebrate like a heroes. Real heroes. Jason tells him to hurry up so they can take a picture to rob straight into Dick Grayson's face to ruin his poll numbers. Tim chuckles that it's cruel but agrees they should call him directly to make the sting hurt more. But the celebration is brutally cut short as a swarm of mutated red-eyed clown burst from the rooftops with a deafening Batman's face in pure horror as he screams at the top of his lungs. The crowds, he's here, listen to me, Scarecrow is here, you're not safe, run. Jason and Tim turn around, entirely confused by the warning, entirely unaware of the massive spiked silhouette rising directly behind them in the dark. Before they can even process the warning, a second grots Batman, long from the high shadows with a blood curdling. The real Batman screams in sheer desperation, begging the creature not to dare touch them. But it's too late. The imposter's face melts into a horrifying, jagged, toothed clay grin as its arm mutates into razor-sharp wooden spikes. The real Batman screams, "Please, take me instead," his eyes glowing white with a pure panic as he watches the monster strike. The clay beast just smiles wider, muffled, gurgling sounds echoing from its throat as the real Batman bellows a final, agonizing "no." against a sudden violent spray of jet black blood across a crimson sky. This next page is an absolute masterpiece of pure horror. The panel opens to a striking solid red sky as the massive mutated absolute Clayface stands victorious. Spikes violently protrude from every single angle of its hulking body, mimicking the sharp edge of Batman's armor. Suspended high in the air, impaled through the chest by one of these brutal clay spikes, is the lifeless body of Tim Drake. Below the monster's heavy boots, a beaten and broken Jason Todd lies completely unconscious. The camera pans down to a pitch-black lighthouse of Tim's body falling through the void, delivering a devastating modern echo of the classic death in the family tragedy. Jason Todd wakes up on the cold pavement, his face covered in blood and his mind completely shattered as he looks over Tim's motionless body. The real Batman finally snaps his restraint with a loud snap, charging forward in an absolute panic. He stares at the giant monstrosity, his voice trembling as he realizes the magnitude of the horror. But as Clayface begins to melt away back into the swampy sludge of the alley floor, it mimics Batman's exact gravelly voice, whispering, "You killed him. You killed him." Jason lifts his head, his vision blurred, looking up to see the real Batman standing over the crime scene, completely framing Bruce for the brutal murder of his own partner. So we flash back to that fateful rainy night where a young Bruce Wayne cornered matches melon in an alleyway. Falcon's guns watch from the balcony, telling Bruce to go into beast mode and make an example out of him. A terrified Matches begs for mercy, crying that he just lost his way and is better than this. Bruce raises the wooden bat, his eyes hidden behind his dark ski mask, agreeing that they are both better than this. With a thunderous wham, Bruce turns the bat on Falcon's guns, instead smashing them through the wooden railing. He takes 2 bullets to the chest, protecting Matches, telling him to run as the mob opens fire. The issue ends with the blinding, broken young Bruce cracking his mask in the mirror, choosing to become the monster Gotham needs. And now we are dropping straight back into the absolute chaos as the real Batman faces off against his own gross clay clone. Stunned by the creature's sheer size, Batman lunges forward, gasping out, "What are you?" while the monstrous clone completely echoes his words back to him. The real Dark Knight gives him a brutal punch, but the creature easily catches his fist with a massive heavy thud. Clayface begins to aggressively mold itself directly into Batman's armor, sprouting multiple thin, muddy arms that warp tightly around his chest and neck. Bruce tries to break the check hold, growling, "I told you to take me instead." But the clone starts to fluidly peel the cowl right off its own skull, revealing a hollow, skinless face underneath. As it whispers, "I am taking you." In a final desperate move, Batman swings the massive reinforced chest symbol axe and cleanly chops the clone's head completely off. But cutting his head off did absolutely nothing. The headless torso of the clone swings its own gigantic hardened mud axe, shattering the air and forcing Batman to duck under a violent spray of liquid clay. With a sickening schwack sound, the clone thrusts its sludge hand straight into Batman's chest, literally bounding its body to his armor. The real Batman groans, coughing violently with a heavy cough as he falls to his knees, completely weighed down and suffocated by the heavy mud covering his entire back. Bruce tries to drag himself away across the concrete, yelling, "You don't get to leave." But the creature just reshaped itself into a terrifying skeletal mud monster, its hollow eyes staring down at him as it delivers a chilling final promise. "No, You don't get to leave ever. We cut over to a soul-crushing scene as the real Batman holds the limp, lifeless body of Tim Drake in his arms, staring down in absolute horror. Suddenly, a creepy whistling sound steps out from the rain, tauntingly, whispering, "Shame. So young too. I guess it was bound to happen eventually, Batman. See you around." Just as Jason Todd groans and slowly opens his eyes, Jason looks up, sees the real Batman cradling Tim's body and completely loses his mind, screaming, You did this. You killed him." Bruce desperately tries to plead his innocence, stammering, No, that wasn't me." But Jason screams louder against a solid red backdrop, swearing that Batman is going to pay for this. The sirens wail as a GCPD cruiser arrives, the radio blaring a high-stakes emergency call. "All units, we have a man down. Repeat, a man down." We close the loop on the nightmare by jumping back to that fateful rainy night in Bruce's youth. Inside a dimly lit warehouse, Falcon's armed enforces stands over bloodied, beaten target, shouting at Bruce to keep going because the boss wants a message sent. A crocked cop points his pistol, coldly declaring that if you want a job done right these days, you do it yourself. But just as he goes to pull the trigger, a young Bruce Wayne uses a wooden baseball bat to block the gun barrel with a massive crack. Bruce toggled the gunman, screaming at the target matches, "Run now." The enforcers open fire, shouting that he made his last mistake. But Bruce swings his bat wildly with a loud wham, shattering the railing and taking 2 bullets straight to the chest to secure the escape. The scene fades out on a blood-stained baseball bat rolling across the floor with the ominous teaser text pointing directly to the future. Next, the bat is born. And that is how everything completely hits the fan. In chapter 23, guys, the Bat family is shattered, Tim is gone, and Bruce is framed for the ultimate crime. If you are hyped to see how Batman clears his name, smash that subscribe button. Drop a comment with your wild theories below and hit that like button to support the channel. Thank you all so much for watching. You guys are the absolute best, and I will see you in the next video.